Viewers in the country and around the globe, hello and welcome to International Affairs. I'm your host Shamsul Alam Pantho, but let us begin with some breaking headlines. Yemen's Sana news agency report that an Israeli airstrike has claimed the lives of Yemen's prime minister. The Houthis have said they will seek revenge against Israel. The United States says that it will not allow Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to travel to New York next month for the annual UN General Assembly. And to add on, the United States have sent 7 warships to the Caribbean in an attempt to curb drug trafficking, which has sent Venezuela and its leader Nicolas Maduro to deploy 4.5 million members of the militia. Before we begin our discussions today, let me introduce my distinguished panelists. We are joined today by Major Retired Imdadul Islam, a member of the Bangladesh Army, and has appeared on various talk shows regarding regional and international issues. And alongside, we have today Mr. Ahmed Alvi is joining our program today as international affairs commentator and nonetheless peace ambassador and negotiator. Ambassador Norman Floyd Barnes joins us from Washington, D.C. I hope he is okay and is joined with us on our program. But let me introduce and open our discussion today with a topic from the United States. We know that the month of August 2025 has been a month barred with tariffs, definitely Donald Trump's tariffs across 70 nations across the globe. A U.S. court rules many of Trump's global tariffs are illegal. The U.S. Appeals Court has ruled that most tariffs issued by U.S. President Donald Trump are illegal, setting up potential legal showdown that could upend his foreign policy agenda. Let's begin with Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. How do you see this recent issue? The courts are in a battle with the leader of the United States. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, what is your take on this matter?
Good morning from Washington, D.C. This decision is will have a profound effect on exactly how the world is, the United States is perceived regarding, the government. The appeal court has ruled that most of the tariffs rulings most of the tariffs decisions has been ruled illegal. However, the Trump administration has indicated that they will not respond to this, meaning basically they will disregard this. So we're looking for a battle coming up. The president has mentioned that this will basically be very disruptive to the United States economy, and he is hell-bent on proceeding and moving forward on this. On the other side, the appearance to the rest of the world is that the United States, particularly the Trump administration, is not as strong as it should be. It's not as united. So there may be other options that other countries are looking at in terms of dealing with the trade.
Thank you, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. I will definitely come back to you regarding U.S. issues. But one of the other things that I wanted to ask you was regarding his sudden disappearance over the weekend. For 2 days, he was not in front of the camera, and some people were making rumors whether or not Donald Trump had passed away. But definitely that has been scrapped up by now. We know that he was on his Virginia golf course playing golf. But I want to come to this point where we know that there was a federalization of the D.C. police force in America to curb the crime rate. But now we've seen that moving into Chicago and Baltimore. But there's an update from Chicago. Chicago mayor signs order aimed at resisting Trump's planned immigration crackdown. The executive order signed on Saturday laying out initial plans for how the city will try to resist President Donald Trump's planned immigration crackdown. The mayor's order affirms that Chicago police will not collaborate with federal agents on joint law enforcement, patrols and arrest operations. My question to Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. We try to see a growing divide between the various law agencies in America, whether it be the National Guard or if not the individual states' police forces. What is your take on this matter, and how do you see this unfolding in front of the common U.S. citizens?
Yes, it's very confusing. Myself, coming from the law enforcement background, myself, we see this as what is the mission? The National Guard, who's been federalized to go and do what the president want done, is very confused. They do not have a clear mission. The local law enforcement, state law enforcement agencies, and governments are also confused because they see this as a invasion within the United States. So there's a separation here. There's a problem here. The Trump administration want to crack down on crime utilizing a military response, a military strategy, but the state and local agency want to protect their own. So we're looking at some conflict here. Yes, the president can go into the cities. They can take over the federal properties there, but there's going to be a conflict. We have a divide. We have again a war between the states developing again between the federal government and the states on home rule.
Thank you so much, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. I want to come to Major Retired Imdadul Islam. You were hearing Norman Floyd Barnes commenting on the regional issues inside America. And you know, as an avid study of regional and international issues, we see that Donald Trump had set out a tariff package which had begun earlier on this month, and even the Bangladeshi negotiation team had negotiated down to 19% as far as I know, and we had promised for a 25 Boeing airplane purchase from America. But as the month closes, on the very last day of the month, we come to know that these tariffs on global world countries are now being deemed as illegal in US court. This is, to me, it signals that it will be a longer court battle between the courts and, of course, Donald Trump's administration. I just want to get your take on this matter as well.
First of all, thank you very much to having me with your this program, and I'm very proud that in my flank, the two young men are there. Those are equally equipped to talk international affairs. That is elaborate. So thank you very much. As we are discussing about the tariff imposed by the United States of America, and side by side imposing and carrying out invasion, even not only outside the world, they are planned to inside the country also. The signal are coming that as you have said, or already the panelists discussed about what is going on. DC and Chicago and Baltimore, everywhere. He is carrying out his own mission and vision inside and giving the wrong signal to the Americans side by side, deploying or sending troops to the Venezuela, a sovereign country, is also as a very mixer, you see that mixed signal to the world community. Simultaneously, the countries throughout the world, or over 70 countries, they imposed that is tariff uncalled for. What is that? You see that all of a sudden, even take the example of India, that's 25%, and next day it jumped to the 50%. So it is a short stop, you see that showing the dictatorship, showing the damn care type of attitude to the world community, whatever the country. But it is affecting us, a country like us. You see that we have signed NDA. Our negotiation team not in a position now to let us know what they have signed, what are the condition. Now we are smelling that there is something which will be taxing our people like anything. Like if we want to import the wheat from United States of America and cotton from United States of America, suppose. So it will be, you see that one side the freight charge or time consumption and the cost involvement, the price that is they will offer. So side by side, we are having the option. We have the endowment in economics that from near country with the less price we can import. Now we are barred from that because due to the embargo, due to the condition placed before us to our negotiator that you have to, if you have to export your the ready garments to our market, you have to do these things. Suppose, as you have said, that you have to buy Boeing. Whether our nation required Boeing or not, that is not the question. Question is that due to the embargo, you have to buy. Number two, that is whether we are going to get the cheaper price, that is cotton supply from even Pakistan, even Turkey, in India, other countries, even the wheat from Ukraine, Russia or other countries, even India, neighboring country, they are also supply the wheat,
Yes.
they are enormous, they have. So it is the natural endowment. So the United States is barring us to not to explore the endowment, that is what facility we have, opportunity we have, because as in our condition, the laid down condition, which we are not supposed to know according to the NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So we are not knowing what on what condition,
Yes.
but it is definitely is going to put extra burden, extra cost on our consumer. We can assure of it. We can assure of it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emdadul Islam. You have opened up a discussion. Definitely, we were talking about the internal politics and what was happening in the United States. One of those issues that you've also tagged along was their confrontation methods, and I think it's going to take a toll again, or a likely confrontation might happen. Even earlier on various shows, I was looking at the confrontation between Venezuela and America, slightly touched by Emdadul Islam. I want to come to Mr. Ahmed Alvi. You know, Donald Trump's first term and his second term, Make America Great Again, was the campaign in his first term as well as the second term. But one of the things that even I pointed out, the world news agencies were pointing out, is that his stance on Venezuela, whether this was to oust the current leader or whether it was the US trying to exploit Venezuela's oil reserves, and whether or not it was just a drug trafficking issue. We know over the weekend that Venezuela and the US is sharing some kind of confrontations. We know that 7 warships, including guided missile destroyers, amphibious ships, and the USS Lake Erie, the nuclear-powered fast attack submarine, was crossing through the Panama Canal into the Caribbean. I just want to get your comment on this matter. How do you see this escalation happening?
First, I would like to thank you all for having me here. Truly been an honor. It's a delight. Second, what I would like to say is Donald Trump never had a good opinion on the Latin Americas, whether it be Guatemala, Mexico, Colombia, or Venezuela. Right now, as you spoke about the oil reserves, that actually could be part of an economic play that America might have on the South Americas as a whole, trying to basically take the resources from underneath, while using all these, let's say, drug trafficking, right, as a method to penetrate inside and get in for the oil reserves. To do something, you would need a reason. And Donald Trump, even though it seems like an exaggeration how you would deploy warships for drug trafficking, it seems absurd if you think about it. But the only thing, that's how he justifies it, right? He would justify illegal immigrants as a policy. And all of them are usually coming from the Latin Americas. So the thing I would say regarding Venezuela is the only reason why anyone would deploy anything of military, the Navy, is probably because of resources there, rather than maybe there's no proper ties between him and the president of Venezuela. So that's how I would conclude it.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Alvi. But I want to come back to Norman Floyd Barnes, who is in Washington, D.C. And I just want to get his comment on Venezuela and the U.S. We know that Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro, he's of course looking at, he was there with Hugo Chavez back in the day, and today he has his humble roots beginning as the leader of Venezuela. People know him as someone who used to be a bus conductor or a bus driver, but he has gone to the rank of the leader of Venezuela, and as of now we know that there is a $50 million reward for his capture, according to the US administration. And as I was saying earlier, that the USS Lake Erie had been deployed towards the Caribbean, and we understand and we look at a warlike situation between the two nations. I want to get Norman Floyd Barnes on this matter. How do you see this escalatory event happening in the Caribbean? What is your take on the matter?
Yes, my response observation is that the U.S. is using the drug trafficking campaign to deploy military resources, much like they're doing here in the United States with Washington, D.C. and other cities, to basically stage and create a presence in that region. Yes, to initially address some of the drug trafficking, the drug trade, to instigate, to agitate the cartel. But it also the issue my colleague mentioned about resources. Yes, there's natural oil resources in the area. Once again, this campaign on crime, trafficking, drug trafficking is being utilized to stage a presence and create a presence for the United States in the area, so they can position themselves to basically under the drug trafficking thing, see some of these areas that hopefully have oil.
I have another complementary question to you, Norman. I hope you can answer this as well. You know, Venezuela's capital, Caracas, has strongly condemned the U.S. deployment as a violation of sovereignty and provocative escalation. Of course, Venezuela has mobilized 15,000 troops to its border with Colombia. You know, Donald Trump, over the last roughly 8 months, we've known Donald Trump to be someone to bring ceasefires across various war fronts. We've seen the India-Pakistan war, even though India has denied the fact that it was U.S. mediation that had silenced this war, and also with Israel and Iran. We see America's stance on worldwide war fronts to be one of bringing back to the table of dialogue, but that can't be seen with Venezuela as of yet. What is your remark? Do you think there is much larger stakes here involved?
Yes, there's always a larger situation by us deploying military resources to that region. That means we have a plan. The plan is, they have no love laws for Venezuela. There's a warrant out for the leader. So they want to change the regime. They want to change the government. They want to establish, like I say, a presence in the area. By doing so is by removing, hopefully having a final reason to remove the current leadership and replace it with someone they seem more friendly to the United States. Also helps with the process of having access to the resources.
Thank you so much, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, who's of course joining us from Washington, D.C. But before we go on to a break, I'll have a short question to Mr. Emdadul Islam. You see how the world has moved around from America. It is always America who's calling the shots. It is America who's presiding over various worldwide issues. One of those which include not allowing Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, he's the PLO leader as well, not to travel to New York next month for the annual UN General Assembly. The last time such an event occurred was when Yasser Arafat was in the lead of the PLO, and when he was barred from entering America, the entire meeting had shifted to Geneva. I just want your comment on this matter.
Thank you very much. It speaks about the, you see that undemocratic decision of the United States of America. By virtue of UN position in New York, it doesn't mean that America is keeping all the rights to stop the world leader, not to go to UN and to hurt their voice. It is absolutely a violation internationally. This should be condemned by all the quarters. Even United States is a decision is so, I must say, that is so indecent not to allow a president of other country to go to the New York. What he will do there? He will definitely talk about his countries or his people's. He will raise the voice of his people, because we know that what is going on in Gaza, the Gaza genocide, every day there is bombing.
Yes.
And we are seeing the whole world is going to be, American diplomacy here, I must say that is going to be bankrupt, because the United States is going here, there, everywhere they are poking their nose and interfering world affairs. But especially when Gaza is facing the genocide, people are dying every day, and their president, their representative must go to United States to raise the voice, to say what is going on, to let other people to know what is happening, and he will maybe urging the world community to stop it. there is nothing wrong, but he is stopped by the United States of America. This speaks that it is they are the bankrupt by their diplomacy and their policies.
Well, thank you, Mr. Imdadul Islam. That's most definitely a correct answer. How America has a sway over international politics and geopolitics in general.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, there shall be more to discuss on today's program, but before we do so, let's go to a short commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to International Affairs. Today we are joined by Major Retired Imdadul Islam. alongside Mr. Ahmed Alvi as international affairs commentator, and of course from Washington DC, Norman Floyd Barnes. I'll begin with Mr. Barnes. We know that America has tried to see Russian President Vladimir Putin in August to discuss and to understand where a ceasefire or a security guarantee could be reached. But according to various media outlets and media agencies, we know that the biggest barrage of a drone strike has occurred in Ukraine. Russia launched a massive strike against Ukraine overnight on Saturday with a total of 14 regions hit. According to Ukrainian officials, at least one person was killed and 30 others wounded in Ukraine's Zaporizhia region, while residential buildings were hit and scores of homes left without gas and electricity. Ukraine's Air Force had said it had downed 510 of 537 drones, 38 of 45 missiles launched by Russia in the overnight attack. My question to Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, you know that your leader, US President Donald Trump, had tried to negotiate or tried to bring the two sides to a bilateral meet. But according to various news agencies, we now know that instead of a ceasefire, instead of a cessation of firing, the fight rages on. I want to get your latest comment on the matter, as I know that you've been watching this war very keenly.
Yes, it's very unique that how the narrative changed day to day. We went from ceasefire to peace. Now we're looking at offensive aggression. Currently, as we speak, Russia is increasing its offensive movement. The goal is to defeat Ukraine and force them into unconditional surrender. I'm saying that because the offensive they're staging, there was a comment by the Ukrainian president that there was a buildup of Russian soldiers in a certain region, and they mentioned that 100,000 troops was built up. Well, that was a psychological point. It's basically the stage to show you that I have might. And you may want to fight, but I have more power and I can control that. So that is to elicit a response from Ukraine and also the partners from Europe to see exactly where they're at and what's going on and what their abilities are. At the same time, Russia is ready to have a new offensive. They have the ability, they have the support, and they have the capacity. The narrative has shifted from peacekeeping now to basically total domination of the region. And we're looking at a situation in the future where there will be a no compromise solution to this in way of Russia.
Well, thank you, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. I will definitely come back to you regarding Middle East. But before I do so, I want to come to Mr. Ahmed Alvi. Now, we know that this war between Ukraine and Russia has been prolonged more than 3.5 years. And according to various news agencies, we now know that former head of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, Andriy Parubiy, was shot dead in Lviv as a part in Ukraine. This war, I don't know if you have followed through the news, but we know that this war is long fought and we don't see an end to the firing between the both sides. What is your comment? Do you think that this will spiral out towards other European nations?
I think it has been prolonging for 3 years, probably might prolong for 3 more. I think there might be a stalemate, just as similar, like there might be a few regions which will be taken back and forth, and these might be prolonged for a while. Russia has massive oil reserves, and they have a lot to finance the war. They also have support from North Korea and I guess other few countries as well, right? So as much as you have Ukraine getting support from the European counterparts and the Americas, right? Russia's also having their own support. So rather than, before it can spread out to other parts of Europe, Ukraine has to be completely taken, which is also quite hard regarding, there's a lot of other factors like climate would be at risk, the entire region, which is quite vast itself. And Russia has never taken such a majority, not in recent years at least. They have taken Crimea before, but never at such a massive, large scale of their of the Ukrainian offensive. So I would say this would actually prolong, if anything, and there might be a stalemate for a longer period. If anything, yes, this will be an economic hell for the entire country, for the world basically, but this will just simply prolong rather than have a stalemate rather than explode into something bigger.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Alvi. Due to time restrictions, I only have a short while Norman is on the line. I just want to get his comment, and let's have a look into the Middle East. We have two breaking news. Israel intensifies attacks on Gaza City, forcing families to flee. And also Yemen's Houthis confirm Prime Minister killed in Israeli strike in Sana'a. We know that Israel is fighting not only the innocent women and children of the Gaza Strip, but also taking out political targets such as the Prime Minister in Yemen. A comment will be appreciated from Norman Floyd Barnes before he has to go.
Yes, the offensive with Israel, particularly the Gaza City invasion, is in progress. The plan is to basically flatten the area, to completely decimate the infrastructure, to weed out Hamas, even though the collateral damages the people. So the plan is still moving forward. They want to completely annihilate Hamas at the expense of the people in the area. It's a disgraceful process that's going on. Going to be a lot of people hurt. Going to be a lot more casualties going on. But Hamas is still fighting, and the question brings up: how are they able to sustain a resistance? So they must have help from somewhere. So the point of this is going to come out is it may be offensive by the Israelis to conquest the area, but Hamas has assistance and help in doing this. So there's going to be some resistance. There's going to be a lot more casualties before this thing is over.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Norman Floyd Barnes. I thank you for your time on our show today. Of course, I also am very appreciative of your attendance on our program almost on a daily basis. But I want to draw everyone's attention towards Major Imdadul Islam, who's also knowledgeable regarding military buildups, regarding a warfare zone. Today we understand that the Houthis confirming the death of their Prime Minister killed by an Israeli airstrike. And the Middle East in general is very volatile at this moment. We know that 18 Palestinians were killed since dawn as Israeli forces continue to pound Gaza, a day after killing 77 Palestinians, including 11 people waiting for food aid. The war is not only with the people. It's not only won by airplanes, missiles and drones. In the modern era, we see the largest humanitarian crisis taking place in Gaza City and also in the Gaza Strip. And this is just a part of a plan to seize the city and push out 1 million people to either to the Arabian Sea, if not to Egypt and surrounding countries. What is your remark? Do you see an end to Benjamin Netanyahu's cruelty?
Thank you very much. Actually, to me, it is the United States has given a free hand to the Israel, undoubtedly, because Israel is bombing onto the Yemen. Israel is already bombed in southern Syria. They have not even taking in consideration that is a sovereign country. They are bombing onto the Lebanese front. The Lebanese front, they have attacked the Lebanon. And today we all knows that they have hit the Yemen Prime Minister, one of the prime target for them maybe. So everywhere. On the other hand, in Gaza, every day they are killing not only hundreds and thousands of people by starvation, by food collection point, by bombing on the hospital, and by attacking other front, by attacking the civilian areas. And no country, even the United States, is not pronouncing, even recent in the UN Security Council.
Yes.
We have seen that out of 14 countries has voted for having a ceasefire and to stop the Israeli aggression in, and United States, you see that not considering anything of this, any killing, any genocide, even in the human history, what they are putting behind, they are not considering at all. They are allowing Israel to bomb wherever they likes. Even by stopping, few minutes back we were discussing that stopping the Palestinian president not to go to the UN General Assembly meeting. So by all this it indicates why I am telling that Israel has given, so United States has given the free hand, because with the Israel's that is voting in the UN Security Council, this speaks about the UN support, unconditional support the Israeli attempts, and not allowing the Mahmoud Abbas to go to that. This means that United States has given the Israel free hand, and Israel doing whatever they feel like as their outpost in Middle East. So this is the simple thing we can conclude, and we can communicate to our audience. This is happening in the world.
It is most definitely damning, and a continuous attack is raging on. As you were saying, the America has allowed this to be carried on freehand.
Absolutely.
And it's a humanitarian disaster, to say the least.
Yes.
I'll come to Mr. Ahmed Alvi. This situation has caused widespread condemnation between Western countries, namely France, Canada, Australia, all of these nations. These are Western nations who are openly condemning Israeli attack towards the Palestinians. And of course, mass worldwide protests have been seen in support of Palestine and Palestinian statehood. Given that the UN General Assembly is upon us in the very next month, the entire agenda of the assembly was to look at how countries are going to recognize Palestine and approve of its statehood. I want to get your comment. You think such a event should be handled very peacefully? What is your comment on the UN General Assembly which is coming up?
Clearly, thank you again for asking. Clearly, with all that has risen, I think the assembly is extremely important. I think a lot of issues will be brought up, but most importantly regarding, even though there has been numerous protests across the world, and all in good faith and all in good hope, right, to stop the genocide, to stop millions of people dying. However, just because America is taking an unconditional side to Israel, there has also been economic ties that a country just can't lose. Even if a country wants to openly support like the country Gaza and against Israel, there has to be economic ties that will be cut out, and many countries' economies simply can't risk it. So I think that's very important, this council that has been coming up, and I think world leaders need to speak on this issue as well as whole. But I think it's mainly America that needs to be convinced, because ultimately it's the web of economic ties that they control. If they stop or if they condemn Israel, even to slight least, I think most of these attacks will ultimately slim down to basically go.
Let me come back to you with a complement question. We know that environment activist Greta Thunberg, who's quite so famous on social media, even she had led a freedom flotilla to break the naval blockade of the Gaza Strip. We know that Gaza is placed right in front of a beachfront, and it has come under a naval blockade. Given the history of aggression towards the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and understanding in the next month's event and how it will unfold, when do you see a possible break to this aggression between Israel and, of course, America's, as you say, America's stance? It has to change from supportive of Israel to condemnation, outright condemnation of Israel. I'm pretty sure that America still has not grown this conscience, even after seeing so many people, innocent people, dying, not just from gunfire, but from starvation. What is your final take on the matter as well?
Well, it would be really hard to convince America otherwise, especially because all the ties Israel has to the politics, the lobbies, and all the way it's connected to Congress, House, and the President itself. So I think it's going to take some time before we get a resolution. I think I speak of everyone, on behalf of everyone, where I say we all want the genocide to stop. But I think all the world leaders needs to come together. And even America doesn't even need to condemn them to full extent. Just stay neutral or not just support them. Just take the support off. It doesn't even have to be condemnation. So if Israel feels a bit alone, because America is like the big brother looking over its shoulder and protecting him.
Some argue that it's their 51st state.
Yes, right, exactly. So I feel like if America, just the big brother, will say, look, you're on your own, and the world will just condemn them together, I think Israel on its own guiltiness, or will understand because of maybe lack of economic ties breaking apart, they will understand, like, under the realm of the economic, they'll understand they can't continue this offensive. It's already a pressure on their economy. It's a pressure on their army as well. There are people from their side dying as well. So they have to understand we can't continue this as well. This is also affecting us. We're also spending millions doing this, even their entire defense system. So I think they have to understand this pressure. As soon as they can feel the economic burden that falls on this offensive raid and the lack of protection from America, I think then the U.S. Assembly can actually pull in a very good effect on Israeli mentality.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Alvi. Ladies and gentlemen, there is exciting news in Southeast Asia and Asia in general. But before we discuss those matters, we'll be going for another short break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to International Affairs. Of course, we are joined today by Major Retired Emdadul Islam, who has generously flown from Chittagong to Dhaka here today. And of course, we have Ahmed Alvi, who is joining us as International Affairs commentator. We previously had Norman Floyd Barnes, who has left the studio for today. But I want to get everyone's attention to an event that is happening in Tianjin, China. Almost about 30 heads of states are meeting with Xi Jinping's China in the 2025 Tianjin Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. And it would definitely mark the 5th time that China is hosting this summit. And of course, it upholds the Shanghai spirit and underscores ideals such as mutual trust, benefit, and consensus building. Now, we see a 10-year development strategy is to play, and of course, in attendance of the world leaders, let me mention that Narendra Modi is also in this summit, as well as Vladimir Putin, leader of Russia. And not only so, they'll both shall be meeting with their delegation with China. One thing that I want to just point out before I ask a very tough question to Mr. Emdadul Islam is that due to Donald's 50% tariff issue on India, what India had done was that it had become afraid and it looked towards regional partners, and it being a regional partner being China, a leader in Asia. Not only so, even they are targeted by Donald's tariff package. So the meeting between India's Narendra Modi and China's Xi Jinping is quite of relevance. I want to come to Mr. Emdadul Islam. The politics, the geopolitics in this matter, and how Donald Trump over the weekend, he was gone from the media eye for 2 days. And it had people speculating whether or not he was gone for good. But what I understand is that he sees the world leaders meeting in China, someone who is, if not direct, but an adversary of the United States. I want to take your comment on the matter. How do you see the SCO summit?
Thank you very much. Actually, before I come to the point, I want to mention that is two prominent think tank of United States of America. One is Professor Sussex, another one Professor Messier. According to their version, with some of the Donald Trump's step in a very short time, with the recent time, that he is making United States foreign policy blunder. He is making blunder. So now come to the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization's meeting. So today, before I joined to your program, I was going through a very fantastic an article with Southern Morning Post, Southern China Morning Post, where it is that China and India love in the time of the cholera. What a thing that he speaks about, because you see that China and India, they are making the 35% of world total population. And the economic side, one is the second largest economy, another is going to step in the third largest economy in the world. So they are having their own actually rivalry, China and India.
Yes.
But this Donald Trump's these steps, that is specially targeting the India by tariffing, imposing tariffing, inviting Field Marshal Asif Munir, having lunch in, and Asif Munir is passing remarks from the from the White House that what the lifeline, Kashmir is the lifeline of Pakistan and this, that. So to the Indians, they are getting message that probably United States of America is too much inclined towards the Pakistan, because it's proves with the activities of the United States Donald Trump. So they are now too much, they are searching for their own friend, how they can rescue themselves, because last year total 18% of Indian export was to United States of America. So after putting this tariff embargo, that is to 50%, they are miserably going to fail to materialize, even not even the nearer to that. So on the other hand, Russian side is also to be coming nearer to, because India has already declared that they are not going to compromise the Russian crude import.
Yes.
On the other hand, as China is now, India is too inclined towards the China, because Chinese relationship, and China also looking for it, that whether India is inclined to them, because they are the border issues, other issues. Though Pakistan and China is the, they said that is their birth time that started, they have their friendship or their togetherness. So from there, Pakistan also, but there is a proverb in English that they call every crisis open an opportunity.
Yes.
So hereby, Pakistan, India and China, probably they are getting an opportunity to go nearer. And there is another proverb, the Asian century, that if China and India is come together closer, then maybe it is done. Many predict, they predict the geostrategy, geopolitics, the think tank, they have said that then Asian century will be started. The
Yes.
China and Asian century, and it is very close. It is knocking the door of China and India's relationship. So if they goes for that, then what Professor Sussex and Professor Messier, they predict that their comment that is a blunder of United States foreign policy.
Yes.
So that will be with the Asian century, maybe that is going to be started very soon. So SCO is giving that message, because here the trilateral, this Russia, China and India, they are two economic superpower. Another one is with the having the, you see that their technology other side, and Russia is proving in Ukraine, as we are discussing a few minutes back. The Russia is, after having the whole European Union, NATO, United States against Russia, still Russia is advancing, and as you have said, over 100,000 troops already they have placed.
Yes.
And today Zelensky said that it is a field or the stage Putin is creating for the next dialogue. So he is a very smart guy. You see that how he is putting his troops to prove that if you come to my condition, or I'll advance.
Yes.
Kiev, I'll go. So here also Modi and Xi Jinping, if they come to a point and understanding, forgetting their, you see that their rivalry,
Yes.
this first rivalry, then new Asian century will be started, and which are going to be geostrategic interest of damaging geostrategic interest of United States of America in like anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Imdadul Islam. One of the Asian leaders who weren't able to join in the SEO summit was Indonesia's Prabowo. He's the president of that country, and what happened was a motorcycle rider was killed with a police vehicle and which had turned the entire nation into protest. On Saturday, protests caused fires at regional parliament buildings in 3 provinces: West Nusa Tenggara, Pelangong City, and in Central Java and Cirebon City in West Java. I want to come to Mr. Ahmed Alvi. Very short, you see how it's uncanny resemblance to what happened in Bangladesh, July 2024, where one of the students were killed by police, and it had gone into entire turmoil, and ouster of government even happened. Do you see it happening with Indonesia?
I think whatever happened in Bangladesh set a precedence, and which can continue across. I feel people who watched whatever happened here, they found inspiration for their own cause. They understood if it can be done, it can also be done by them. And they understand maybe there has to be some sacrifice, as per the student who laid down their lives, right? They understood, like, to get whatever you want for the benefit of the country, some people would have to, unfortunately. And I think that's what's going on in Indonesia right now. I think they slowly understand, like, even if one of us might be held back, but in the end, as a country, we will get what's best for us. And that's how they saw it, what happened in Bangladesh, and now that's what they're trying to do for their own country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Alvi. Of course, I want to give my sincere thanks to both my gentlemen here today for their valuable insight and contributions to our international affairs program. Ladies and gentlemen, as I draw closer, today is August 31st, 2025. It signifies the independence of Kyrgyzstan from the Soviet Union in 1991, and also the independence of Trinidad and Tobago from the UK in 1957. Ladies and gentlemen, this was International Affairs, and I was your host today, Shamsul Alam Pantho. Of course, do stay tuned on SCTV on YouTube and Facebook for our upcoming shows. That's it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow.